lost all control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Welcome, everybody, to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and you are now watching the Night Terrors, or Night Terrors. Do you have a Night Terrors? You want some? Stick around, I'll give you some. That's what this is all about, some entertainment of the paranormal kind. Let me fix that on-screen chat. I forgot that. I knew I was forgetting something. Now I remember. But I'll fix it momentarily here, ladies and gentlemen, because it's just a work in progress. The portal's always a work in progress. So I hope you guys don't mind that. I guess you're kind of a part of a running experiment, as it were. Like, this isn't a Hollywood polished kind of production at all. In fact, the fact that any episode works out at all sometimes is amazing to me. How you doing, East Beers? Good to see you. Hello to you. Hey, Toolman Tim. I love that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know sometimes how everything works out, but somehow or another episodes all seem to come together in some manner or fashion. But thank you all for being here and being a part of my shows and our journey, I guess, through the portal. Hope you're having a good weekend. It is, what the hell date is it? What did I say? Weekend? Yeah, it's Sunday. Wow, I was just like, I totally went into like an altered state there. I was like, what day is this? You know, it was like I suddenly just forgot everything. I don't know. I swear to God, I'm flaky as hell today. No substances are to blame for this, ladies and gentlemen. My dysfunction is completely natural. Yeah, I was just like, I was like, Thursday, Sunday, what the hell day is it? I don't know. It's weird. I'm kind of in altered states a lot of times, I guess. So what do you do? But happy Sunday to you all. Hope you had a great day of relaxation and warmth with not only your physical comfort, but emotional as well. The phone lines will be open throughout the duration of the show tonight, so if you want to call in and be a part of it, I'd love to hear from you. If you got a paranormal story or comment or opinion that you'd love to share, I'd love to hear it. Never in the course of the show do I claim that I've got this stuff all figured out. I don't, and I know that I don't, and I'll tell you, the more I think I learn about the subjects, the more I realize I just don't know, and that nobody knows. But it is a journey, it is a discussion, and if you have something to add to the discussions going on the show, please feel free to call in. I love hearing from you guys. It is my truly favorite part of the shows. So anyway, let's see. Anything else? Okay. I think that's all I got off the top end here, so you better get ready because we're going in. I want to also say a special thank you to everyone who, through the course of us doing the portal, Don and I doing the portal, that have bought T-shirts, that have helped us out financially, have done super chats or donations or whatever. It's truly amazing to me, and it's truly humbling as well. But it really has kept the portal going, and thank you all so much to all of you. And lately, I posted the emotional buffet song in the Bandcamp, and several people have downloaded it and purchased it, and that's really cool. I mean, the cool part, ladies and gentlemen, is I put a price tag of $1 on there. Now, Bandcamp allows people to pay more if they choose to, and I'm always surprised at how many choose to pay more. I'm just humbled by that. Somebody bought it for, they only had to pay $1 and they paid $5. And another person only had to pay $1, but they paid $4. It's like, God, that's really, really excellent. I'm just humbled by that. And thank you all so much for that. You guys have been, all of you have been amazing and have caused the portal to grow. We're just knocking now on our YouTube audience. We're just knocking on the door to get to our 5,000 subs. And granted, in YouTube world, that's nothing. It's really nothing. But I'm here to tell you, we haven't advertised anything. We've never spent a dime advertising because there's no dimes to spend on it anyway. But we've never spent a thing on this, and this has grown by virtue of you guys out there spreading the word and letting people know. And it's just been absolutely incredible. So that's 5,000 people that have become a part of the show. And whether they're active or not doesn't matter. They thought enough of it to subscribe. And those are completely people that are, I believe, interested in what we're doing on some level. And to me, that means the world. I would rather have 5,000 interested subscribers than to have 150,000 people that couldn't care less. So many times you go through YouTube and you see these sub counts of 348,000 people, of subscribed to the channels. But then you look at their shows, and they got maybe 1.5 thousand views or something like that, and it's like, that's some terrible math. That means there's a lot of people subscribed that really don't care what the hell they're doing. They subscribe for some reason. Maybe they felt they should. Maybe it was because there's these subgroups out on YouTube as well where people, hey, sub for sub. You sub to my channel, I'll sub to yours. And people just go back and forth, and you get on these lists, and they get all their lists to sub to you too. And it looks really impressive. It really does. But once you start looking at the number of people that are actually active and taking part in the shows, you realize how small that number really should be. Like a lot of those big channels that have very few views should probably be at like 2,000 subs, because they probably got like 2,000 people that are actively involved in what they're doing. And the other is just fluff. So, everyone that's subscribed to the portal has been, as far as I can tell, pretty involved, at least to some level, with what we're doing. And it means the world to me. So thank you all for that as well. The podcast is doing brilliantly. We just had our biggest month yet on the podcast. We did 86,000 downloads last month on the podcast, which is this means this December we should close out somewhere around 100,000 for the month, right in there. So, and that's coming out of nowhere with a podcast nobody had ever heard of. We have a lot of people to thank for that, of course, that have helped us out tremendously, Wes and Tony Markle and all of you guys. And it really means the world. But, it's just been fantastic. So, and not to mention all the great friends I've met, like through doing these shows. Like, I know this isn't a Thanksgiving episode, but I realized I never really said all these things on Thanksgiving, or maybe I did, but I'm saying them again because it just really is that important to me. We've met amazing people like Duke, who has been a part of our family now for a long time, and he's given of himself every show we do, and Julia and Diana and Deb, and the list goes on, Lady Death, all the way back to Pixie, and we've had just these amazing people involved with what we're doing. So thank you all. I just wanted to say that right up front as we're on the end of the holiday weekend, so to speak. So tomorrow's Monday, and we'll be back in the grind. So anyway, got some stories here to keep you entertained, hopefully. If I'm doing my job, you'll be entertained. If I'm not doing my job, then you'll be hopefully at least mildly amused. Hopefully you don't leave here disappointed. So I better get to work because, some people don't like me talking too much. Let's go to the first story tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming from California. And this story is a friend of mine had a cat that subsequently had kittens. My friends and family know that I'm a cat person, so it goes without saying that I fell in love with one of the kittens, with whom I later named Prism. That's Prism, in case I'm not enunciating that clearly. At the time, I was told that I was being given a female cat, and for whatever reason, I just didn't check. Later, when I took prison to the vet to get shots, I found out she was a he. In spite of his girly name, it stuck, and he answered to it, so I left it alone. My parents had a very recently divorced, and when I was 15, when I got prison, and I was immediately attached to him, and he was a little bit of a troublemaker, but he kept me company while my dad was working, and there was no one in the house but my dad and I, so I was lonely until prison came into my life. He slept at the foot of my bed every night and would always wake up with me before school and demand his breakfast before I ate mine. As soon as I came home when the day was done, he would be at the door waiting for me. And when I sat down to do my homework or get on the computer, he'd find a cozy spot near or on me to lay and purr. One thing that I always noticed about prison was his human-like qualities. His eyes were green, almost the exact same shade as mine. He had a very interesting personality, and he tended to have particular tastes in food, toys, and people. His moods were very apparent, and his body language and facial expressions. God, this person could be describing Anubis. Occasionally, when I got lonely, I would talk to him, and he'd watch me intently without ever seeming to grow bored. He would stare into my eyes and twitch his ear, picking up the tiniest environmental sounds, but never turning his face away, as though he knew that I wanted his attention. He was affectionate when I was sad, and he always cuddled up to me when I was down, and he knew how to make me laugh by being silly and doing things like chasing his own tail, and sometimes he'd just sit up both paws in my face as if to say, "Get a grip, Shastina." He also had a very strong ability to sense presences. Whether or not anyone else appeared to be in the room, he would often follow things that I couldn't see, just as all cats do. But he seemed to see a lot more than most cats, and I would often see him chase something invisible through the house. Yeah, Anubis does that too. I don't know if he's just wigging out and doing cat energy things, but I sometimes wonder if he's chasing something or if he's just, burning energy, but maybe both. Sometimes he would meow at his unseen playmate, which struck me as very strange because he was really generally a quiet cat. While my dad and I were living in a little 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house where I had prison, a lot of strange things happened. I would often hear banging and thumping noises. Prison would hear the noises too, and he'd just sit near me like a sentinel, as though challenging whatever it was to try to get past him. He would sit there and stare at something for extremely long periods of time, sometimes for hours, or until it seemed he felt that it was safe. Then he'd jump onto my lap and comfort me by nuzzling my face. He always knew when I was scared, and he'd give me the looks as if to say, "Don't worry, I got you covered." And then he'd look up at me reassuringly, and when he felt the coast was clear. As time went on, the activity got worse, and I felt an oppressive presence all the time, especially when I was alone, but even when I had company, and there was typical feeling of being watched and the feeling of someone near you, but just out of reach. I often saw shadows and shapes moving around the house, and there were times when I would wonder if someone had broken in because the noises and the movements were so obvious. I called my dad's cell phone on several occasions, and he would tell me to spend the night at my neighbor's house or invite a friend over to spend the night with me. It got so bad that I began to have panic attacks, and I even began to think that I was going crazy. I was scared to tell my dad about it because I figured he'd just think that I was imagining things. I remember one instance in which a friend of mine came over and spent the night, and my dad was working late, and it was really dark, probably about 9 or 10 on a Saturday. And my friend and I were watching a movie, and we began to hear noises. First, it began as sporadic tapping sounds, and there was no particular timing to them. Well, I tried to ignore them because I didn't want to scare my friend, but I knew she heard them too because she would stop watching TV and look at me every time it happened. Finally, it got too loud to ignore, and with one particular sharp slamming sound, she looked up at me and said, "What was that?" Well, I was scared, but I didn't want to show it, so I pretended that I hadn't heard it, and she got really scared, and I felt bad, so I explained that I would hear the noises too, and it kept me from panicking if I pretended not to hear them. Well, it wasn't long before we moved out of that house. We ended up moving in with my stepmom and her three kids, and my younger stepbrother got a gorgeous Russian blue cat with bright yellow eyes, and his name was Buster. And he became Prism's companion right off the bat. They acted like brothers with the way they would fight, make up, play, and start all over again. Unfortunately, the new house was just as bad, if not worse. There were more noises, more shadows, and occasionally the lights would turn off and the microwave would just go crazy. It sounds like the call the other night. There were prickly electric vibes in the air from time to time, and worse. It seemed that the closet doors would open all by themselves. Doors would open and close on their own, and then once the bathroom door shut and locked itself without anyone knowing about it. No one had ever been home except my younger brother, who couldn't figure out for the life of him how the door had shut with no wind to shut it. When my older sister moved out, she left the bedroom downstairs vacant behind her, and occasionally we would walk by and see a human-shaped shadow pass by the door, or see the bathroom door close when no one was around to close it. Well, thankfully we moved again, and the next house we moved to was another rental, and as the other two had been, and if you know anything about California, you know the real estate market costs of living are extremely pricey. Pricey, not pricely. The new house was even worse than the first two. It had creaky floorboards, some very strangely angled things, as if it had been built quite haphazardly. The part that really creeped me out the most was a very small crawl space in my parents' walk-in closet that had been sealed shut and painted over. We never found out where it led, but it seemed to go into a little attic section. We heard a lot of scratching sounds up there, but we thought it would just be rats, even though we never actually seen any rats in and around the house. The cats would often randomly freak out and run from something. Buster, the Russian Blue, would often hide in closets and cupboards from things, and he'd look terrified. Prism would often cry and sit by the windows, staring out of them as if wishing to move to a new house. I began to wonder if something was following our family, or if maybe someone was following Prism. Well, then my wonderful life with my guardian cat ended. Prism developed a terrible bladder infection and declined rapidly. In a combination of illness and veterinary negligence, my poor boy was no longer. We were forced to put him to sleep or else watch him suffer while he was poked and prodded, so we let him have a dignified ending. The last time I saw him, he was in so much pain, I just wanted him to stop suffering. Well, Buster was never the same without his buddy. He spent all of his time in solitude, hiding under blankets in my parents' room or holing up in a dark cupboard under the sink. He never made any noise at all. He didn't like to be petted and only seemed to come out to eat. Even when my younger brother got another cat, a kitten we named Punk, Buster was completely uninterested. Buster also didn't like closed doors. Bedroom doors in the house were closed. He would cry and scratch at the door or dig the carpet until we opened the door. He wouldn't go in or leave, but he wanted the door to be open no matter what. One night, Buster started acting really strange, and he paced up and down the halls of the house, crying and harassing me to keep my bedroom door open. He rubbed himself against my legs, which was uncharacteristically affectionate of him. He kept demanding attention, and since cats usually act up before earthquakes, I kept bracing myself for things to start shaking. When the night came, I never expect what happened next. I went to bed that night thinking about Buster's strange behavior. Normally, he spent the night huddled under the blankets on my parents' bed or stalking the kitchen, but instead, he chose to spend the night lying on my bed at my feet where Prism used to sleep. Punk was being his normal high-spirited self, prancing around the house and keeping himself entertained, and Buster just kept watching me with his bright yellow eyes as though he were expecting something to happen. I had a hard time sleeping because of it, and Buster laid his head down to sleep, and I was able to doze off myself. I dreamt that I was standing in an endless stretch of green grass. Part of me had been expecting the farewell dream for a while, but never like this. Instead of my beautiful long-haired gray, white, and black cat, a young man had approached me from seemingly thin air. His hair was the same color and pattern as Prism's fur had been. And he had the same bright green eyes, but he was a human man. He smiled at me, and there were tears in his eyes, and he wrapped his arms around me and spoke to me through his thoughts. He told me that he missed me and that he was sorry he had to go, but that he was glad I hadn't allowed him to suffer. He said that he'd always be around to watch after me and that he'd hold our Russian blue cat responsible for protecting me in the physical world. He told me that good things would happen soon and that I didn't need to be afraid anymore. We were going to end up somewhere better and he would be our spirit guardian. When I woke from the dream, I felt a little sad but revitalized. Not long after the dream, our parents came across a fantastic property or opportunity and bought our very first house of our own. From the moment I stepped foot into it, I felt the change. There was no oppressive feeling, no strange sounds, and no heavy shadows. There was a feeling of protection and comfort, and Buster has become a very social cat, and occasionally I see him running around the house as if he's still playing with Prism. I've seen a lot of Prism's personality in the now fully grown kitten Punk. He even has the same green eyes. The best part is that our house is calm and normal now, without any strange sounds. It's almost as though Prism is protecting our family from the other side. Now, that's the second time I've heard a story like that. The first time was from our very own Dee Swiger. She had a cat that appeared to her after its passing as a being, a humanoid being. And so apparently there's something to that. That's pretty powerful stuff. Very, very powerful. Now, cats are guardians. I don't know if they're like an early warning system, or are they actually able to fend off spirits? I don't know. I'm not sure to what degree that they are guardians, but I think that they're very aware of the spirit world around us, but I don't know how if they are equipped to defend against it. I don't know. I assume that the cat energy is, as I said before, it's an energy that augments ours, and it's a very positive augmentation of our energy. So it maybe bolsters us to be able to withstand psychic and spiritual onslaughts more. Just some thoughts. Again, I don't know. Just some thoughts. I don't know. I'm counting my I don't knows tonight. How many times do I say it? You tell me. I don't know. How many times? Oh, my goodness. Apparently I say it a bunch, but, it's only because I'm being absolutely honest. Full disclosure, if I'm not sure, I'll just say, I don't know. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'm cracking myself up now. Which isn't always hard to do. I am not always the most sophisticated sense of humor, so you'd be surprised the things that can get me howling. I'm going to open you up some more stories. I got some stories here for you. Fresh out of the portal oven. All right, so hope you guys feel like some more. Sounds logical, does it? Good. We have a few stories going on here. What's going on here? What's going on? Am I missing something in the chat, Linda? Tell me. I'd love to hear some stories. If you want to call in, please do. 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. The number's always above my head, so it's just under the words Paranormal Portal on your screen. So if you want to call in, please do so. Hello, Gemini. Good to see you. Thanks for the laughy face. Otherwise, if it wasn't for those laughy faces, I think I was just laughing at myself, and that's weird. So, and it just makes me feel more sane, that's all. Which can sometimes be a stretch. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's go to the next one. This one has to do with Vegas. Las Vegas. All right, so, state of Nevada. I was let me try that again. And action. I was visiting my best girlfriend in Vegas last year, and she has a gorgeous mansion in Henderson, Nevada, 10 minutes from the Strip. The first night, I woke up to the feeling of being watched. But more than that, I was sleeping but saw a dark, shadowed man leaning over me. Well, I figured it was a dream and went back to sleep. The next day I told my friend, and she confessed that her place was haunted. I believe in that stuff, but brushed it off, and we went out to lunch, and when we came back, all my stuff in the closet was thrown onto the floor. God, what a dick move. I don't know why they do stuff like that. Apparently the closet is where it likes to stay, and it was angry I put my stuff in there. Well, still not believing, I figured it was her little brother or something. I put my stuff back and went to take a shower. That was a bad idea. While I was showering, mind you, there were no vents or air conditioning or windows in the bathroom. The shower curtain blew in with full force into me while I was taking a shower and scared me. Took all my courage to open the curtain, but nothing was there. However, the steam on the walls was dripping, and I wasn't even taking a hot shower, and the condensation was red. Nice. I went out to the main room, and my friend was sleeping, and I asked her if she had a window open or something, but she wasn't even awake, so she couldn't have. I went back into the bathroom, and there was a swirl drawn into the steam on the mirror. We go about our day, and I tell her about all of this, and she's shocked and simply says, I guess he doesn't like you. He's never been that bad with other people that have slept over. I really think it's because you're Catholic and you're wearing the cross. I once tried putting candles and holy water in the room, but he knocked the stuff over when I came in. When I came back in, and I'm thinking, what am I doing in this house? They moved into the house a few years ago and everything was fine. And then one night, if my friend woke up to the smell of something burning, and she walked around, looked, nothing. She got back in bed, and she woke up again to her closet light on, balcony open, and overhead lights were on. And that's not all. The fire alarm was going off, and she gets up, opens the door, and the alarm goes silent. She figures someone is burning something outside. She was asleep, sleepwalking or something, and gets back in bed. Again, the alarm goes off, and the one in front of her mom's room alarms, and they smell the burning smoke and burning hair smell. Her dog at this point is going nutso, barking at the closet and then running out of the room and barking at her room, not going in. This went on for hours until she went into her mom's room, went under the covers, and slept it out. Ever since, things have happened daily. Finally, it was time for me to go, and it was my last night there. I go to bed, no problems, and the balcony open, but a large rock holding it only partially open. I go to sleep. Well, I woke up around 3 a.m., really bad time for evil spirits, and all the lights are on. The television is blasting, and my friend is sound asleep, so I know she didn't turn anything on. Her dog is staring at the closet, frozen. The balcony is wide open, and the rock is outside on the balcony. If you're thinking it's the dog, the rock weighed at least 25 pounds. And I was freaking out, but just kind of tried to sleep or tried to keep calm because he knew when you were scared. So I got up and talked to him saying, if you want to watch TV, that's fine. I'm turning down the volume so I can sleep. That's all. I turned it down and went to sleep. That was my experience in Vegas, and I know a lot of other people have had weird things happen in Vegas. I believed in ghosts before, but this, unexplainable. Seems to be. That's some pretty intense activity. I suspect somebody was died in a fire at some point, is what it sounds like. I don't know. The closet. What the hell would your life be like if you had to live in a closet? I mean, it's like Harry Potter, but for ghosts and forever. This is where I go. This is my closet. What kind of an eternity is that? I don't know. I don't understand those dynamics at all. But again, maybe it's just a fraction of a personality that passed, and it's just the pieces that couldn't transcend. Maybe all the pain, hurt, and anger and anguish were what is left behind and became sentient on its own. I don't know. Psychic imprints, could they develop personalities of their own? I think so. But it's just my 2 cents, as it were. So let's see. The next one is coming from New York. Forget about it. All right. So what's going on in New York? Well, let me tell you. I've been having problems with my home for quite some time now, and I wanted to know if anyone had any idea of what was going on. Some background information. My house was built over an abandoned Puritan barn. When we moved in, some of the brick walls were still intact in our backyard, but since then, we've knocked them down, and our house is also located a few houses away from a rundown Puritan Quaker cemetery. And next to the cemetery is an old church that is supposedly haunted. My house is also supposedly the haunted house on the block. Way back when no one lived here, however, when it was vacant, there was a fire in the basement, and this leads to my experiences in the house. I've always felt uncomfortable when I had a feeling like someone was watching me from the day I moved in. Back then, I didn't have any of the information about the house that I know now. I've lived here for about 4 years, and in the past year and a half, the scares are becoming much more frequent. The first thing that happened one afternoon, I was home alone and went downstairs to get lunch, and from my kitchen, there's an open doorway into our dining room. In the doorway, there's a figure about 3 feet tall, pure black, and I had the feeling it was a boy. And even though it didn't have eyes, I knew it was staring at me. In the blink of an eye, he was gone. Next, both of my dogs sleep with me in my room, and they heard a noise downstairs. They jump off the bed and bark at the door to get out to bark at whatever noise is bothering them. However, sometimes they wake up out of a dead sleep, both of them, at the same time and just growl at my closet. There you go again. Closets, ladies and gentlemen. Just closets are not good. They do it for about 10 or more minutes, and you can see their heads moving back and forth like they're watching something. And they only do this to one of the closets in my bedroom. The other night, I woke up in a startle and saw an image of a man hung in all black from one of the closets my dogs bark at. Well, it really freaked me out. The creepiest thing of all, one night at around 11 p.m., I was walking downstairs to ask my mom something, and I heard what I thought was her talking to my dad. Well, I went into a study, and no one was there, and I looked through the whole floor of the house, and no televisions were on, and I went into their bedroom, and they were both sound asleep. The next day, I told my mom, and she said, "No matter what you do, don't tell your little brother, or he'll get scared." I didn't tell anyone, and the very next day my brother came out of his bedroom scared, saying he heard 2 different voices in his room. He said they sounded sad, and he didn't recognize the voices. A few weeks ago, he claimed he heard the voices again late one night downstairs and thought it was my parents as well. Could my house possibly have these hauntings because of the cemetery? I really want to know what could be going on. Well, could be. Could be just because the land has a history. Hard to know, ladies and gentlemen. This one's a pretty short one. It's coming from Ohio. Ohio. All right. Here we go. When I was little, I'd go into my grandpa's room and take a nap, but I'm not allowed to go into that room since he keeps a loaded gun and I hate guns. And I was looking at some old pictures of me in the room with my doggie, Snokes, and I just see this. I don't know what it was, really. It was just enough to make me never want to go into that room, even if there wasn't a gun in there. Then I look at some more pictures and find that there are like 30 orbs right by me and my dog, and that was the last time I would go in there. I won't let my brother go in that room. When I was in the house by myself, my dad was outside picking food from the garden, and there weren't two dogs, and I was just watching television in that room that had the orbs and the figure, and all of a sudden a green light comes on, then turns off, and it happens a couple more times. Well, I ran outside to tell my dad what happened, and he looks in the room, and there's like 12 orbs on his back. And that was creepy since I was 9 and I didn't know what that was. And if you think I'm on crack, I'm not. I know what I saw. I'm scared that it might happen again, but that's it. Leave a message and tell me what you think it was, please. Maybe some orbs, I'm thinking. Just going out on a limb here a little bit. But I don't know. So, we're going to make this a drinking game. Whenever I say, I don't know, you got to take a shot. Ooh, we'd have a bunch of sloppy drunk people listening to this show, I think. I think there'd be some drunks. Everybody'd be passed out. Wouldn't even realize I was done. All right, New Jersey. Go pack the car. All right, since as far back as I can remember, I've seen things that my parents can't. I've heard things that no one else hears, and I've smelled things that no one else seems to smell. And I've felt things that aren't there. My mother tells me stories of when I was younger, as most children do. I had a so-called imaginary friend named Sarah. When my mom could not find things and I swore I hadn't taken them, she would sometimes find them under my dresser. After finding things she had lost under there, she confronted me about it. And I would say things like, Mom, it wasn't me, or Mom, it must have been Sarah. And she would think I was just trying to get it over on her or let it slide. But after this happening more and more in the passing weeks, she confronted me with it again, saying, enough with these games. Stop taking my things. After that, they stopped, but other strange things started to happen. Like the pantry door swinging open when everyone was in the living room, coming home from vacation with the windows open, and we knew that they were locked and closed when we had left. We blamed it on the ghost, thinking nothing of it. Then things like these continued to happen over the next 8 years. My father got a promotion, moving him to another state, and while we were packing up my room, my mom told me about when I used to hide things under my dresser. And while we were moving the dresser, a part of the molding fell off the wall, and inside the wall there were small trinkets like lockets, candies, dolls, coins, and a book and a diary telling about a girl named Sarah. That's good. That's vindication, I guess, but it's also kind of the chills. You get the chills with that kind of verification or authentication to a claim. But again, I don't know if these things are true or not, but they are represented as true stories. So that's the way I'm representing them to you. My God, it's already 37 minutes. How can that be? How can it already be 37 minutes, ladies and gentlemen? That's just amazing. It's a time anomaly here in the portal. Ruh-roh, this one sounds bad. What? I think that's going to be one of those fluffy ones, but we'll see. Another one of those Twilight ones. Oh, I got a romance with the spirit. All right, so here is a story coming from California. Sorry, my nose is itching, but I'm going to take a drink first, if you don't mind. How you guys doing out there? Everybody good? Let me know. Let me know when you when you get a sec. All right. So where was I? California. Cha-cha is swell. Put some ice on it. That usually helps. See what I did there? Yeah, I'm here all night. Okay. So, all right. Peachy, good. Okay. Dandy, Peachy, all good, Brent? Good. Oh, is Ken in here, by the way? Ken, the Rotman, is he in here? Let me look. Fun is being had. Well, that's good. That's good, Cam. I'm glad to hear that. I don't see Ken in here. Well, hi, Tracy Brenna. Nice to meet you. Or Benna, sorry. Tracy Benna. I'm just looking at the people that are in here. Amber Robertson, welcome to the show. But no, I don't see Ken. I was going to tell Ken happy birthday because it's Ken's birthday. Ken from Australia's birthday. Ken the Rotman. So if you see him in the chat, if he pops in, definitely tell him happy birthday. I was hoping to catch him here tonight to wish him happy birthday on the air. But anyway, at least I think it's his birthday. Yeah. Hey, Brian. Good to see you. Yeah, it's a good place. I'm glad you found it to hang out. Hi from Pittsburgh, says Tracy. Well, welcome. I'm all the way in the north of Idaho, huh? Let's see. Amber, thanks. Cade put me on to you guys. Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, Cade's a great guy. I just like him. He's such a wonderful guy. Let's see. Ken's at the pub, is he really? Well, he's earned it. Oh, it was yesterday. Okay, Aussie Tiger was your yesterday. Maybe it's our today. Is that how that works? I don't know. My Facebook just told me about it today, so I don't know. But anyway, welcome to all the new faces. It's wonderful to see you guys, and thank you so much for coming in. And to all of you who are sitting quietly out there listening, welcome, and thank you for being here as well. I don't know I don't know who you are, but I can see your count is tallied. So anyway, California. My mom told me about this story about my older sister and what used to happen to her as a baby. Here's the setup to the story and the house. My family had just moved into a 2-story house in Fresno, California. Our family included my 2 older brothers, my older sister, and my parents, and I wasn't born yet, but what my parents didn't know was that this new house would soon become more than they had bargained for. Dun dun dun. Cue suspenseful music. My parents moved into this new house because they needed more room for the new addition to the family, my sister. Soon after they moved in and started settling into the house, strange things started happening to my sister. Late at night, my parents would wake up to find her coughing and gasping, and my mom said it was as if someone was choking her and letting go at the last moment, and this happened on numerous occasions. And my parents would rush her to the emergency room each time, but as soon as she got there, the doctors always said there was nothing wrong with her. And this would happen many times throughout the next couple of years. Around the time my sister turned 3, my parents became Christians. And this would later help my mom understand that there was something seriously wrong with that house. My sister started pointing at things only visible to her and getting scared for no apparent reason. My parents brushed it off until one night it became clear that something was wrong. My parents had just dozed off with my sister sleeping between them when my mom woke up to my sister crying and clutching her like her life depended on it. And after being asked what was wrong, my sister pointed to the foot of the bed and said, "Bad guys." My mom said that back then, my sister referred to guys in biker gangs as bad guys. She tried to reassure my sister that no one was there, but that didn't work. So my mom put a Bible on each side of the bed. And she said after a while, my sister finally calmed down and stopped crying. My mom believed something was wrong, but was waiting on something more credible. Well, she didn't have to wait too long. If you're wondering why I haven't mentioned my dad much, he says he's a wuss. Nice. One night, my sister had another one of the choking incidents, so my parents rushed her to the hospital, and they asked if one of our close neighbors if she would watch my 2 brothers while they were gone. Our neighbor came and watched them while they slept in my parents' bedroom, and she later told my parents what she experienced while she lay on my parents' bed that night. As soon as she had laid down on their bed, she said the hallway light started to black out, and she heard loud footsteps thud up the stairway. Sorry, I got something in my eye here. She thought it was my dad coming back for something, but the footsteps were too heavy and loud to be his. Then, oh, sorry, man, this is burning. Oh, there we go. Then she said she suddenly couldn't move for about 5 minutes when my parents came back. Sorry. She left without telling them what had happened, and she ended up telling my mom about a month later. Sorry. I'm really not crying. It's just like, it's like some of the incense must have went right in my eye or something. It's like getting smoke in your eyes. Sorry. As soon as my mom heard about this, she said that the hair on the back of her neck stood up. Since she was a devoted Christian, she gathered my family that night and she prayed for the spirits or entities to go away and to leave them alone. And after that night, she said the house felt more secure and that whatever was in the house never bothered them again. There's a lot to be said for faith. Faith is a barrier. It's a protection. It's a shield. And it's, it's up to you what you want to believe in. That's it's not like one religion works and the rest of them don't. It's whatever you believe in, whatever you have faith in. And it really is a powerful thing. So whatever you believe in, definitely hold it close and believe it with all of your heart. And it really will keep a lot of this crap at bay. I firmly believe that. Okay, the next one is coming from Colorado. This is a pretty short one. Oh, God. Yeah, it is one of those Twilight ones like I thought. That's, whatever. I'm skipping that one. Let's go to the next one. And this is, some people write stories like they're obviously, either they're incredibly glamorizing and dramatizing whatever happened, or they're absolutely fabricating them. And it's stories like, oh, I had a friend who was a ghost, and he and I fell in love, and he tried to protect me from the demons. And it's just, it's just, it's agonizing. So I don't read them. As soon as it gets to the really stupid parts, I'm just done. And they could be, what if they're true? Well, then they're true, but I'm not going to do that to this show. This is not going to become Twilight Portal. I don't care. I just don't care. I mean, the Twilight movies are fine. The books are fine. I'm not really one of those super critical people of things like that. It's like they are what they are. But, to try to make the spirit world into your own Cullen clan or something is just like, come on. To me. And, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'll apologize later. But for now, no way. It's the ghost of the Paranormal Portal that's making Brent's eyes hurt. Yeah, you never know. I don't know. I just was burning some frankincense. So I think it was that. But you never know. I can't tell you for sure. All right, so the next one is California. It says, I've encountered a dark angel when I was around 11 years old. Just before falling asleep, I saw a tall, dark figure standing in the corner of my room. He was around 6'2" with a long black coat and a black top hat. Oh, the hat man. But I couldn't make out his face. I was afraid of my own shadow at that time, but I didn't feel any fear at all. In fact, I felt as though he was smiling at me, even though I couldn't see his face. My twin brother and I slept in the same bed for nearly every night of our lives, yet this night my parents decided that we should start sleeping separately. And we never left each other's side, and I don't think I had more than 1 minute to myself before that night. I let my brother take the top bunk, and I took the bottom, and even though I was scared as hell, I didn't want him to be scared. So I had an elementary school teacher at the time, Mr. Robertson at Lancashire Elementary. I guess that's in California. So who would give me an extremely warm smile when I answered a question in his class. I felt the same kind of feeling coming from this being. I felt as though he were proud of me for some reason, and I stared at him for a full minute and then wiped my eyes to make sure I wasn't seeing things. And reality started sinking in on me that this shouldn't be happening. So I pulled the covers over my head for about another minute. And when I pulled them back down, he was still there. At this point, I was ready for the experience to end. So I yelled out for my dad, and the figure slowly turned around to face the corner of my room and walked right through the wall. I'm 37 now, and it still feels as if it happened yesterday. I don't believe in religion, but I do believe in good and evil, and this guy was not evil. I believe that he just wanted me to know that he was watching over me, and I still feel a sense of comfort from the feeling that he gave me. Needless to say, my brother and I slept together from then on out. That is until we grew out of it. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. The Hat Man, it's a long-running legend, and I got to tell you, it's something that I experienced for years, mostly in my teen years. And the funny thing is not only did I experience it, but here's the weird part. So I have 2 older sons, in case you're new to the show. I also have a younger one, but I have 2 adult sons. And when my oldest was in his teen years, he was living with me, and he said, "Dad, I had a really weird dream, and I've had it a few times now, and I don't know what's going on." And I said, "Well, tell me about it." And he said, "Well, there's this man in the dream." And I said, "Wait a minute. Does he wear a black trench coat, have a black wide-brimmed hat, and look very pale and have gray hair?" And he said, "Yeah, that's him." And it was the exact same guy I had experienced as a teenager, never having told my son about this. So my oldest son and I had this discussion about it, and I just, I never really knew what it was either or what it meant. In my dreams, it was always chasing me, and I was always trying to get away from it, but never could. And it would continuously mock me for that. Like I could dream, I had like dreams like, Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street. The one where the Dream Warriors one, where they would have superpowers. I mean, it were very lucid dreams, and I could bring in the idea that I could fly, and I'd fly to different places and land. As soon as I land, he would be there smirking at me like,
yeah, you're not getting away from me. I would climb the walls like a Spider-Man, get up on top. He'd be there, standing there, and I'd do everything I could. I would try to hit him with like this thundering blows of like Superman, and it didn't even phase him. And I was like, what can I do? This thing is just always there, and he's always after me, and I didn't know what it meant. So after a number of years dealing with that, it just ended. And so I never would have thought in a million years that that would be a phenomenon at all. It's just something I experienced that was weird. I figured maybe it represented something in my life about dealing with things or whatever. However, my son having the exact same dream with the exact same description as I had experienced, I thought was really bizarre. Same things were going on. He's being chased, trying to get away from something and can't. Now, the real kicker is my middle son got to his teen years and he started telling me about these dreams he was having. And you guessed it, same thing. He was experiencing a shadow man with the wide brimmed hat, but very pale and with gray hair. So it wasn't like the typical shadow man, all in shadow. But I assume it's some kind of variation of the Hat Man phenomena. What does it mean? I don't even know. A lot of people have dreams of the Hat Man, and they're not negative at all. Brent tried jujitsu, yeah. I mean, it didn't matter what I tried, dude. I could have super strengths. Anything I could fabricate in my dream in this lucid state, I would throw at this guy. I'd pick up, trucks and throw it at him, and it just didn't bother him. Nothing I did would faze it. And it was just the most frustrating thing because I didn't know what to do. Even though I could create all these things in the dream, it just had no effect. So it was really, really, really freaky. But to know then that two of my children have experienced the same thing, I find incredibly bizarre, really, really bizarre. I'm just wondering if the minion, when he grows up, is going to have that, but I'll wait and see. I didn't plant this in either of my other two children. I didn't ever tell them the story until after they had experienced it themselves. Then we sat down and would talk about it, and I told them what I could to try to help, but apparently they both outgrew them as well. It's just something about those teen years and those experiences. So very strange. But is it the same thing? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's a like a trench coat, black trench coat. He was not, it's kind of like the Poltergeist 2 movie where that creepy preacher guy is on. Similar to that, except that guy was like really frail and thin, and the guy I experienced was not. He was more robust. So I don't know. And it was long before the Poltergeist 2 ever came out that I experienced it. So. But I'll tell you, when I first saw that movie, it gave me chills. It gave me some serious chills. I was like, oh. So that was my reenactment of chills, in case you wondered. That kind of stuff is free, ladies and gentlemen. You don't even pay for that here. That's the kind of quality I bring you with every show. But yeah, really cool. That's strange, very strange. Let's see. All right, let's get to another one. And this one's from Alabama. Where are we at with the time? I should look. We're at 53 minutes. Let's see how long this one is. This one's kind of long. I guess I'll read it to you. So this is from Alabama. The one spirit I actually wasn't afraid of that has visited me before was of a little boy from my story, Strange Things Go Bump 2. This one calls Little Boy Returns and Moves On. So I was lying in bed like usual, and I hear this very familiar voice, and I could tell it was the same little boy from before. He came out of nowhere and said, I know what they're looking for. And I asked him what it was. And he replied, they're looking for space. And I then asked him what they needed space for, and he replied, to grow. And I asked who he was talking about, and he told me, the men beside me. I didn't know what he was talking about, and it didn't make sense at all. I don't know if it meant anything or if that was just kind of a blabbering like he did before. Then he went quiet for a minute. I figured he must have left, so I decided to quit listening to him and try to get some sleep. A few minutes passed by, and then he says, they aren't trying to get you. I almost completely broke down. I knew exactly what he was talking about. And then he said, they just like looking out for you. I wish that boy had have been real, because I would have hugged him so hard. I'm a 21-year-old and I don't get emotional like that very easily. And that little boy's words meant so much for me. For so long, I've been afraid of these things happening, and at that very instant, I felt a complete calm over my body, like I'm finally free of this fear. This helps me reaffirm my feelings that this thing is real, because I have a sick mind, and I would have told myself the exact opposite, that these were evil spirits out to get me. I know it sounds crazy, but I know how I think, and my mind always seems to make things far worse. And I was so grateful for my newly found peace. I knew it was time for me to help him. I kept telling him to imagine the light turning on. Picture a bright light out in the distance and go towards it. There are good people there and they will look out for you and keep you safe, I said. He said he was trying, but he didn't see anything, and I told him to keep trying. A few minutes passed and I didn't hear anything, and then suddenly I heard, I see it. There they are. And again I started to tear up. The excitement in his voice was overwhelming. It was like a kid that just got everything he wanted for Christmas. I was so happy. I can't even express how I felt. Either I'm highly delusional or I just witnessed something amazing, and I don't know. I know I couldn't make this stuff up if I wanted to. So I either need professional help or this is truly paranormal. I believe that I'm not crazy. Helping these people is worth the joy I got that night, even if I have to go through the scary part of it too. I will miss the little boy. He was the only spirit that I haven't been somewhat afraid of. I feel so blessed that I was finally able to see something positive out of this situation. I just hope I can do more for these people if it is real. I hope now that I won't be afraid anymore, but I believe that boy really has helped me in so many ways now, and I know that boy is in a much happier place, and I hate to sound cliche, but he will always have a place in my heart. That night meant everything to me, most of all my outward sanity. Thanks for reading. I would like to hear what y'all think, be it that I'm crazy or I really want your honest opinion. Could I be extremely delusional? I really don't know. Every little bit helps. Thanks again, and God bless. That sounds cool. I don't know. I don't recall the other stories this person submitted, so it kind of bothers me when people, they submit stories over a period of months and then they refer to each of their other stories like we're just, following one after the other, but they get mixed in with hundreds of other stories and it's hard to remember. But anyway, cool story nonetheless. I sure hope that that little boy was crossed over. That's got to be a heartbreaker. It breaks my heart to think that these little gentle spirits could be stuck. I just don't understand that. And I just don't know how to understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. If there's anything good and just and right in this universe, and I believe there is, then somebody should be sent to bring these children home. They should not be left to wander. So, I don't know, just, again, my 2 cents, but I'm not in charge of it, so we'll just have to help them when we find them, I guess. Anyway, guys, I guess that's going to wrap it up for the show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for being here. As usual, you guys made my night complete. You guys are amazing. Good night, guys. Brent is going to talk me to sleep. Well, there you go. We're all going to go right now, but thank you all so much for being here and being a part of the shows. Again, I'll be back tomorrow night with more of the Night Terrors, 7 nights a week, 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here on YouTube. There is a portal going on, so if you're new to the show, you can come back every night and check them out. I don't know if I'm going to continue to do 7 nights a week for long, but I'm doing it for now. I've been doing it for the better part of a year now, and it's gotten to be a lot to carry with all the other responsibilities and things Don and I are working on. So I may be scaling back on that, but I'll keep you posted. There's some cool developments coming up for the Paranormal Portal that we'll be letting you know about soon. So stay tuned. Follow us on Facebook if you're looking for updates or anything with the show. We don't have a dedicated website yet, but it's on the way. And we will have one of those with a blog and hopefully maybe some kind of chat as well over there. If you guys want to come over and continue your chats that you start here on YouTube, that would be cool. I'll look into all of that and more, but I just want y'all to know, check out the podcast too. Another new episode will be going out tomorrow, be available after midnight tonight. So you can check that out and download it, take it with you, and listen to it at your leisure. So love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. Sweet dreams.